So here we are coming to the end of another Roman year. It's not a thing that I place a great importance on nowadays, the shifting from one Roman year into another. It all seems very arbitrary to me, the decision of when the 1st of November would be, the 1st of January would be. And yet, clearly, when so many people are engaged in the process of seeing a year come to an end and the beginning of a new one, how can it not affect us in some way? I mean, we might be individuals, but we're still part and of what Jung described as the collective unconscious. We're still affected by the patterns that the rest of the planet is being affected by. I mean, it may well be the case that the Chinese and the Islamic world are not really even celebrating New Year in the way that we do. They do it on different dates. So it's not like this affects the whole world, but if you're part of an Anglophone, English-speaking, European or Australian or American culture, then it's very difficult to divorce ourselves from the fact that everybody today and tomorrow will be celebrating the start of a new year. Personally, my experience of New Year's Eve has almost unequivocally been woefully disappointing. In fact, I only remember one good New Year's Eve party that, really, well, I suppose I've been to a few nice ones over the years, but there was only one that I kind of really thought was phenomenal and somehow embodied that kind of idea of what we imagine a New Year's Eve party can really feel like. That was at the start of the millennium, and it was the year that I got together with the woman who became the mother of my first children. So it's a time that I'll never forget, and I always remember Prince having said that we're going to party like it's 1999, and that definitely denoted the flavour of that particular celebration. And yet, the majority of New Year's Eve parties are overpriced and underwhelming. Like there's far too much value placed on them. And in recent years, as I've now switched to seeing the start of the year as being the budding of the world into life at the start of, on the spring equinox on March 21st, when the life suddenly comes storming back into view as the flowers come out and the buds appear on the trees. And now I really am sort of seeing that as the natural beginning of the year's cycle. It coordinates with the astrological mythological story of the development of life, and that it makes much more sense to me. And yet still it's hard to let New Year's Eve pass without some sense of resolution, because in this extremely quiet time when there's barely any leaves on the trees, they're nearly all on the ground. I mean, I'm standing in front of some evergreens now, so it still looks kind of green in the picture, but actually the forest floor is thick with mud and rotting leaves and has that wintry smell of rot about it. In that quiet time when all the seeds are actually beneath the ground in this dormant gestation waiting for things to burst into life, it's still a very poignant time. It's a time for reflection, for going inwards and considering what it is that we would like to build in the year ahead. I mean, what I have learned for myself is that trying to instigate really aggressive exercise programs and major changes in habit really isn't suited to this particular time of year. One doesn't want to start doing 100 press-ups every morning as of the 1st of January because, the body, all of nature is tired and lackluster and wants to rest and quietly feed. We're no matter what we think, we're part of that natural cycle. For those people that have repeatedly failed with their New Year's resolutions, it might be worth bearing in mind that this is not the best time to try and make significant life changes. Now is the time for us to just be calm and still and expose ourselves to the elements, not just the natural elements outside, but the elements within us, and to give thought and reflection to the world that we're trying to create. So today, these are my thoughts about celebrating New Year's Eve. And even if I now consider the start of the year to be in April, or March and April, I will still be taking some time to think deeply about what it is that I'm creating in my life this year.